Season 3, Episode 12, War of the Coprophagia.
Coprophagia or coprophagia?
Phagia. It's just phagia. I wrote it out phonetically so that I didn't get it wrong, and then you questioned me. It's coprophagia.
Okay, coprophagia.
Yeah, you've been singing it wrong. She's been singing this word and the next freaking title, Syzygy, in a song. Go ahead, sing it for him.
No.
And now you're on the spot. She's been singing it all fucking week.
I'm not singing anything.
Uh-huh.
Coprophagia.
This
is a really fun episode.
This is a super fun episode.
We had a blast watching with the girls. They were so into it. We all were. We were all super into it.
It's super funny. And
so funny.
This is the episode that officially made my kids Mulder haters.
Yes. They were so mad at how he was treating Scully in this, and I don't blame them because he's an asshole to Scully in this.
Yeah.
He's a total asshole to her.
But
it's not like he's not really trying to be.
No, but this is just Mulder. He loves to just hang up on her, never answer her. This is just classic Mulder.
I think especially at this point in the show, I don't think Mulder, he doesn't realize that Scully might have a thing for him.
No, I don't think so at all.
I think he's oblivious to I think he cares about her deeply as a friend and a partner. But I don't think he views her as romantic in any way, and I think that it's going over his head that she's like that.
Do you think it's possible, I just thought about this right now because we're talking about it, that because Samantha went missing, she's like his surrogate sister in his head, and that's why he doesn't look at her romantically?
Maybe. I never really thought of that.
Me neither, but I'm just throwing it out there as an idea of Scully is his little sister to him now.
Maybe.
And that's why, and then she, that's not for her. She's into him. She's so clearly into him. This isn't even a question.
Yeah.
She's jealous as hell throughout this episode. That being said, I do feel like there's some mass hysteria going on, but I feel like it's a little deeper than that. I feel like everyone in town is acting a fool. So I don't know how much of this town is affecting Mulder, but this is kind of classic Mulder. And he, so because he has Scully, he might just be someone who's very adamant on no, that doesn't even line up.
No,
I was going to say you don't eat with shit, but
yeah.
He was, okay, actually, no, I take that back. Maybe he learned his lesson because he got involved with an old coworker. We see that,
that's
right?
True. That's
and she
true.
burns his ass.
Yeah, that's
right.
Possible.
Because he he kisses or she kisses him at the joint that catches on fire, and then he walks in on her with the husband of the family that he's protecting.
Yeah.
And it's a total burn. And I think Mulder, number one, is of course obsessed with his work.
Yes.
But number two, it's kind of I don't want that to happen with Scully and I. So it's not even on my radar.
Maybe, for sure. Maybe that's part of it. I think that I think you already said it. I think he's so obsessed with his work, and because him and Scully they don't agree, ever on anything, I think he views that as them being incompatible, which, to some extent they kind of are, but I think they're obviously why the show works so well is that they balance each other really well, and that's why they work as a partnership. But I think in his mind, because she's not a believer, I do think that is also maybe partly why he doesn't see her as a romantic partner.
It's a good segue because we had a comment in a previous video, I think it was one of the last two, where someone threw out a theory, and I was like, that's an interesting theory. I don't subscribe to it exactly, but I thought it was an interesting theory at least. And it kind of goes to that, sort of, which is that he thinks that Mulder is actually the skeptic who wants to believe desperately, as to where Scully's the believer and desperately doesn't want to believe.
Oh, that's a very interesting theory.
Which I was like,
I like that, actually.
The more I think about it, because he's like, what gives it away is that Mulder literally has a poster above his head at all times, like, I want to believe.
That's
and,
a good idea.
He's very specifically, like, always, like, he's buying in immediately.
Yeah.
And Scully is always, like, fighting, even, like, when she has proof.
Yeah.
She's, like, refusing it.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want to be burned by, like, her belief. Like, she's so worried about being wrong and maybe even, like, disappointing her father. Maybe her father was someone who was, like, super anti into any of that shit. And she got, you know, I think if we're going to discuss that as an idea really quick, I think that her, like, interest in Mulder is that he is the believer that she wishes she could be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I definitely
And maybe the reason that they work so well together is because he is like, she's the skeptic I wish, that I actually am.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that theory. I've never thought of that either. And, like, I think that's a really interesting explanation, especially with him literally having a poster above his head saying, like, he wants to believe all the time.
Yeah, not I believe.
He wants to believe.
I want to believe.
Yeah, I really like that. And I definitely think that there's some arguments for it, like we've talked about in other episodes, especially religious episodes with Scully, where she's, like, full on, like, the religious, like, sycophant phase. Nah, she's not that, but, you know, she believes, like, hardcore with the religious stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting, but, yeah, for however you want to interpret it, though, I do think Mulder is oblivious, you know, to Scully's emotions, and the back and forth in this episode with her, because she stays home and he goes off to investigate, like, without her, but he keeps calling her up on the phone.
Oh my God.
And it's so cute because, like, we get to see Scully. I love seeing her not in her work clothes, like in her comfy outfits and stuff. Like, she's got her hair up.
Yeah.
She always looks super cute and cozy, and we get to see the dog from
the
Pomeranian that she takes home, which is great. I love that she has a dog. And I think one of the girls said that it looks like Scully too, which was cute.
She's got red hair.
Yeah. But yeah, the back and forth is just really fun. Like, she'll be like, "Who died this time?" And
yeah.
I know. Well, there's, like, one line that she says that's really fun. That's like, "I'm not going to ask you to say what I think you just said because I know what you just..." Like, it's some, like, one of those. I don't remember how she says it now. And then, obviously, as the episode progresses, then he mentions another woman, like, as the scientist, what are they called? The bug... what are bug scientists
like an entomologist?
Called? Entomologist? Mm-hmm. When he mentions the entomologist's name as, like, a female, like a woman's name, she's like,
her name is Bambi.
Her name is Bambi?
And then, like, he says something else, and she's like, her name is Bambi?
Yeah. She's so stuck
because
on that.
Typically a girl who has the name Bambi is known to be, like, voluptuous and, like, sexy and ditzy and, like, you know, promiscuous. And, like, you know what I mean? Like, those kinds of names in like, film or in, like, fantasy... Like, Bambi is like the coveted girl. Yeah. And she's like a freaking supermodel. Yeah, she's ridiculous. They introduce her literally like a... Like, what are they called? Oh my God, I can't believe I keep blanking on all kinds of stuff today. James Bond. Like a James Bond girl. Yeah. That's what she, like, is introduced as. And Mulder's... What's really funny, too, is that... He confesses to Scully, like, he hates insects. She, like, thinks he's afraid of them, and he's like, no, I'm not afraid of them. Like, I hate them. Like, I hate them. Yeah. And he's, like, all trying to get with this entomologist who's, like, obsessed with them and loves them so much. But he does this in several episodes where there's some hot, like, you know, scientist or police officer or detective or whatever that he's, like, working with, but he's very... superficially, shallowly working with, you know, like he's kind of giving them a little more attention because they're attractive, which is funny. Yeah, this just goes further to the point of, like, he doesn't even see Scully as an option.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't be doing this if he thought Scully
No.
was into him
No.
or anything. Or it's just him sending a message of like, I know you're into me. And this is a guy that's like so observant that he can like detect something off of a fucking menu. And he can read like DJO? DPO? It's DPO, isn't it? Off the arcade game.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff like that.
DPO,
Like,
yeah.
so ridiculous. But he can't read that Scully's into him when she's like, Bambi.
He's a little bit... He's probably on the spectrum a bit, too. So, that's also my theory.
I don't know. I feel like he's like, Scully, it ain't happening. I'm hitting on other chicks. I slept with a vampire.
I know.
I don't know, though. Is he trying to get with Bambi in this episode?
I think so. I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he is. Because they have, like, this conversation where she's like, insects are so honest. Like, all they do is, like, eat, defecate, and procreate or whatever. And there's this, like... It's funny, though, because in that same conversation, she's like, is my cold, like, scientific perspective, like, basically turning you off or whatever? And he was like, no, like, I find it, like, really refreshing. Which is funny because Scully, a lot of the time, is very, like, blunt and dry and scientific with her reasoning.
He does get turned on by something Scully says in, not this episode, but another episode. She says, she's talking about something.
Yeah, you're
it's
right.
coming up.
And he
I
jokes
think we
that
haven't
he's
talked.
like...
He's like, I'm so turned on right now.
Yeah.
And it was her... We'll talk about it when we get there. Let's not...
I'm sure you wrote it down, but...
So, okay. Let's focus. We're all over the goddamn place. We find out that cockroaches can give birth to 500,000 eggs that become babies in a year.
Yeah.
500,000.
Yeah.
500,000.
I mean, there's so many insects on the planet. I don't even know the number, but it's like...
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's insane.
It's like
there's so many insects.
It's like 10,000 or 100,000 to 1 to humans.
Yeah.
It's something insane where you're like, what?
I hate that people don't think of insects as like...
Life.
Yeah, because I think if you change your perspective and think of them as like little creatures...
Yeah.
Like living little creatures...
Yeah.
It, like, totally changes the world for you.
Sure. There's a really wild shot of this guy who's seeing, like, cockroaches get under his skin.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty gnarly. And I wrote Scully keeps calling Scully. I think that's a...
Mulder keeps
little
calling
misprint
Scully.
there, yeah. Mulder hangs up on Scully for Babe. She sits there worried and waiting. No call back.
Yeah,
So,
that
like,
was
so sad when she's, like... She's got the phone on her sleeping.
She's like
She's
holding
like,
it. And then he calls and she's like, Mulder. Like, we were all of us.
Oh my god, that was it for my kids. My kids were like, he's done.
Done with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of like making up to do for them, I think.
Totally.
They're pretty vicious, man. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to...
They're loyal.
Yeah.
They're loyal, and they're... Yeah.
Yeah, once they're burned, they're like, that's it, forever. You're done for. I don't care what you do. So I'll be curious on if they ever come back to Mulder. I won't be surprised if they're, like, very stubborn and being, like, 7 freaking seasons later.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know, Mulder and Scully are getting married or something.
Well,
and they're like, no!
It's so fun because they've gotten into the whole, like... You know, there's this, like, it's not unrequited, but, like, the romance that you want to happen between Mulder and Scully. Like, you just want it so bad. And you see all these moments of chemistry, and, like, when they fight and stuff, you're just like, and they've finally gotten invested in it. So this episode was really it drove it home, I think. But,
I'm not saying they get married or don't.
No, I don't remember what happens with their relationship.
I remember some things.
I kind of remember, I think I remember a little bit from the newest, like the revival season.
No, I remember the stuff from the movie, and I remember stuff from season 7. I remember some things.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, So we find out that they're like mechanical robot roaches. Why are they hallucinating? Because of the like. It's just because those guys are smoking.
They were smoking like dung. which is crazy.
What the fuck?
And so gross.
That's insanity.
And yeah, the all the other hallucinations and stuff that happens is a result of the mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody is freaking out in town.
Yeah.
Like, every death, there's a cockroach that's seen.
Mm-hmm.
And every time Mulder calls Scully, she's like, oh, he probably is allergic to cockroach bites. Like, there's a certain amount of people that are allergic. And, oh, was he on the toilet? Like, he was straining. He probably had an aneurysm or whatever.
Hemorrhaging, yeah.
Or, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's explanations for everything. And
we get a cockroach breaking the fourth wall here.
yes!
Crawling across the screen.
There's actually 2 fourth wall breaks.
Is there?
Yeah, so there's that one, which is really fun.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the episode, you hear the, like, chirping of the cockroach.
Yeah, it's a nice touch to, like, add to the paranoia of, like, I'm sure there's been people that were watching this episode who, like, thought there was a bug on their screen.
Oh, totally. Well, there's a lot of people that
seat.
are... Yeah, that are, like, really afraid of...
or
hate cockroaches.
I wonder if someone... Oh, me.
You're not, like, afraid of them.
I don't... They gross me the fuck out.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
So interesting, because they're, like, not
like,
that much different from any other beetle, really.
Sure. I don't like them.
Or, like, cricket. I don't know if they're a beetle.
I don't like bugs.
I like bugs.
Period.
I
Yeah, they creep me out. Aww. But I do have to wonder if anyone, like, was looking around their house for the cockroach.
Probably. That I would not be surprised, especially, like...
Call an exterminator. Like, they go to that level.
Maybe.
It's possible. Like, I got cockroaches! They're the dude from Creepshow.
I mean, there's people that, like, I've known that, like, they see a roach and they, like, scream bloody murder.
Sure.
And I've always been fascinated by that because I'm just like, that roach is literally going to do nothing to you. Like, nothing.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
maybe
I'm
it's
not
just
scared
I grew up
of
in
them.
Florida, and
but they, you know, like if I see one out of nowhere, I'll like flinch at it.
I mean, yeah.
Like, what the?
If a bug like flies at your face or is like crawling on you and you don't expect it, like you always have that kind of gut reaction of like you get startled for sure. But
even if I looked over here and there was one on the wall right here running up, I'd be like, what the?
Yeah, there's like a startling effect that they have.
And I like when Scully finally meets Bambi. She, like, pulls up next to her and, like, asserts her dominance by, like, getting out of the car and pulling her gun.
Yeah.
And just being like, I got this, Bambi.
Yeah. She's
That's
like,
great.
It's no place for an entomologist or something.
And the whole freaking, like, place blows up from, like, the methane fumes from the poop.
Yep.
That seems like it would be a hazard.
Yes.
Mulder loses Bambi to the nerd in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Also, before you... I know we're, like, at the end, but I also thought it was really funny that when Mulder's in that, like, factory methane place or whatever, the guy that goes in there is like, how do I know you're not a cockroach?
Yeah, that's funny.
Which is just, like, so ridiculous, and Mulder's just like, I'm human.
You think that this is in the same universe as Joe's apartment?
This made me want to watch Joe's apartment. I watched Joe's apartment so much, and we still have not watched it since we've been together. And I'm always like, we should watch Joe's apartment because it's
we can double feature it with a movie called Meet the Applegates.
Okay,
let's do it.
Yeah, the only time that I feel like I've been really grossed out by insects is in Men in Black with that.
Oh yeah, Edgar.
He was disgusting.
Vincent
He
D'Onofrio.
grossed me out so much. But besides that, I don't know. It takes a lot for an insect to like really freak me out.
Sure, I know that. And then like the final nail in Mulder's coffin for my kids was him telling Scully that she smelled.
Yep, because they're both covered in poop, and she says something like, brains are sexy or something, or smart is sexy, I think she
something
says.
Like that, yeah.
Because Bambi goes off with the other guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what, Scully, I never thought I'd say this to you, but you stink. Or you smell bad.
He's really going for broke on this one.
And
like any chances
away.
he had with Scully. I do want to say for the record though that Scully is hotter than Bambi. So,
yeah.
Mulder, wise up.
Yeah.
Wise up to what men really want, Rachel. Or Grady's not going to be the last man you lose to another woman. No? Halloween 4. All right. We'll see you in the next one.